Now to discuss that more, we are joined by political commentator and analyst Jason Unruhe. Thank you very much, Mr. Unruhe, as always, for joining us. Now, regarding this issue, Mr. Unruhe, how do you define the situation here? On the one hand, we have Mike Pompeo saying that he is happy with the results of the negotiations. On the other hand, we have North Korea calling it worrisome and calling the U.S. attitude gangster-like. And then we see North Korea describing the path that the U.S. is taking similar to what it used to be. What could be the future?
Well, I definitely think that there's some more rocky times ahead between the two countries. I think that the reason why there's such a tremendous split between the two sides is that the United States went into this to deliver an ultimatum to Kim Jong-un and the rest of the DPRK that they are to denuclearize before they receive any relief from the sanctions that they have placed upon them. However, the DPRK has maintained that it wants a gradual process. The DPRK makes a concession, and then the U.S. makes a concession. And then there's another level of denuclearization with another portion of the sanctions removed against the country. What the DPRK wants here is a guarantee that those sanctions are actually going to be removed. What they don't want to do is go ahead and remove their nuclear weaponry, only to find the U.S. turn around and not live up to its end of the agreement, which is something that the United States has done quite frequently. The JCPOA agreement is a perfect example. The fact is the DPRK has no real reason to trust the United States in this situation, given their dishonorable actions in the past regarding matters like these. The DPRK needs some kind of assurances that they will actually get the sanctions relief that are promised to them. I mean, this comes off the back after the Singapore summit, where the DPRK and the U.S., the meeting between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump, seemingly went nowhere and didn't really amount to anything whatsoever. It was almost an exercise in futility. The DPRK does not want to give up its nuclear capability, its deterrent against U.S. invasion, when that's exactly what the United States wants. Essentially, they want the DPRK to disarm so that they can be free to make whatever kind of maneuvers against the DPRK that they actually wish. But in this situation, Kim is playing a game where if he's going to make some kind of concession, he certainly needs to have a guarantee that it's going to be worthwhile. I mean, it's obvious that the DPRK has no reason to trust the United States, and in this situation, it's certainly right that they would do so.
Mr. Unruhe, do you believe that they will actually reach a final agreement to denuclearize, or considering the tone that is coming from North Korea right now, there is a possibility that this might lead to a dead end?
I'm not terribly optimistic in this situation. The DPRK knows what's on the table. For them, this is a matter of survival. For the United States, this is a matter of simply getting what they want. So really, the DPRK has everything to lose in this situation: its national integrity, its economy, etc. So I don't believe that there's going to be any kind of concrete agreement between the two sides anytime soon, given that the U.S. wants everything in totality, while the DPRK wants assurances that whatever it is that they surrender to the U.S., to the various international bodies involved, that they will receive just compensation in the meantime. I think that we're very deadlocked in this situation with two different approaches. The DPRK wants to take a slow, tactical approach, and the U.S. is just making outright demands of the DPRK, which is not much of a negotiation at all. It's a demand that's being placed in the country. If these meetings are to be listed or to be described as negotiations, then there should be some kind of concession by the United States in order to make this work. But thus far, we have seen no such overtures coming from the U.S.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jason Unruhe, political commentator and analyst, joining us live from Ontario.